The university gates were always loud at the end of the day. Students spilled out in groups, carrying backpacks over one shoulder, complaining about assignments, laughing about random things. The smell of coffee from the small cafe across the road mixed with the scent of rain-soaked pavement from the afternoon drizzle. Cars moved slowly through the crowded street. Jennifer stood beneath the shade of a large tree near the entrance, hugging her books against her chest while Leo stood in front of her with a confidence that seemed practiced. He had been trying to ask her out for weeks. Everyone knew Leo. He was charming, funny, and always surrounded by people. Everyone also knew the other side of him, the endless rumors, the girls he dated briefly, the way he smiled like every conversation was a game he already knew how to win. Jennifer had never disliked him. She just never trusted him. "You know," Leo said, leaning against the tree beside her, "I've asked you to go out with me at least 3 times, and somehow you always find a way to escape." Jennifer smiled despite herself. "I don't remember agreeing to that number." "That's because you're avoiding the truth." "What truth?" Leo looked at her with exaggerated seriousness. "That I'm probably the most patient man on campus." Jennifer laughed softly. "That might be the first lie you've told today." "I'm serious," he said, his voice becoming quieter. "I actually like you." The playful expression disappeared for a moment, replaced by something more honest. Jennifer looked down at the books in her arms. She wanted to believe people meant what they said. She always had. That was both her favorite and most dangerous quality. "You say that to a lot of people, Leo." The smile on his face faded slightly. "Maybe I do, but I've never said it and meant it like this." Before Jennifer could answer, a loud engine roared from the street. At first, neither of them moved. Then Jennifer looked up. A black car was coming too fast. Her body froze before her mind could understand what was happening. The vehicle turned sharply toward the university entrance. People shouted. Someone dropped their bag. A few students moved out of the way. Leo grabbed Jennifer's arm. "Jennifer." The car stopped inches away. For a second, everything went silent. Jennifer stared at the hood of the car, her breathing shallow. She could hear her own heartbeat louder than the crowd around her. Then the fear caught up with her. Her knees weakened. The last thing she saw before everything went dark was the driver's door opening. A woman stepped out. She looked nothing like the chaos around her. She wore a long black coat that moved with the wind, her dark hair neatly falling around sharp features. There was a calmness about her that seemed almost impossible after nearly causing an accident. She carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who never had to ask for attention. She walked directly toward Jennifer. "Is she hurt?" The question was directed at Leo, but he didn't answer. He was still standing in the same place, staring. Whether it was because of the accident or the woman standing in front of him, he seemed unable to form a sentence. The woman glanced at him. "I'm taking her to the hospital." Leo blinked. "What?" She looked at him, expression unchanged. "I asked if you wanted to come." He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. After a moment, she sighed slightly, as if deciding he wasn't going to be useful. "She'll be at St. Catherine's Hospital." She carefully lifted Jennifer and carried her toward the car. Leo watched the vehicle disappear down the road. Only then did he realize he never asked the woman's name. When Jennifer opened her eyes, she didn't know where she was. For a few seconds, she stared at the white ceiling above her, listening to the unfamiliar sounds around her. A quiet machine beeped somewhere near the bed. The room smelled faintly of antiseptic and fresh linen, nothing like the crowded university streets she remembered. She tried to sit up, but a dull ache in her body made her stop. Then the memory returned. The car noise. The fear. Her fingers tightened around the blanket. "I'm alive," she whispered, almost surprised by the words. She turned her head slowly, expecting to see a nurse or perhaps her mother. Instead, she saw a woman standing by the window. Jennifer didn't need to see her face to know she was different. The woman stood completely still, one hand resting lightly against the glass as she looked outside. She wore a long black coat that reached past her knees. The room somehow felt smaller with her in it. For a moment, Jennifer considered closing her eyes and pretending she was still asleep. It was a ridiculous thought, but something about the woman made her feel like she had walked into the wrong place. Before she could decide, the woman turned. Jennifer froze. She was beautiful, but not in the easy, approachable way people on campus were beautiful. There was something sharp about her, something controlled in the way she carried herself. Her expression revealed almost nothing. The woman walked toward the chair beside the bed and sat down, leaving enough distance between them. "I'm glad you're awake." Her voice was calm, almost too calm. Jennifer looked around the room again. "Where am I?" "The hospital. You were brought here after the accident. Your boyfriend called your mother. She should be here soon." Jennifer blinked. "My boyfriend? The guy who was with you?"
La.
The woman nodded. Jennifer opened her mouth to explain, then stopped. It wasn't important. She studied the stranger sitting across from her. "Who are you?" The woman reached into her coat and placed a small card on the table beside the bed. "Gabriella."
Just that. No explanation.
No unnecessary details. Jennifer picked up the card. "Gabriella." She looked at the name printed there. It suited her somehow. "You can call me if you have any medical problems related to the accident." Jennifer looked back at her. That sounds like something a doctor would say. "I'm not a doctor." "Then what are you?" For the first time, Gabriella hesitated. Only for a second. "Someone who is responsible for getting you here." Jennifer noticed the way Gabriella avoided the question. Before she could ask again, the door opened. "Jennifer." Her mother rushed in, relief written all over her face. The conversation ended before Jennifer could understand why she wanted to continue it. Later, after Jennifer had left with her mother, Gabriella returned to her car. She had expected the day to finally be over. Then she noticed the bag on the back seat.
Jennifer is back.
She stared at it for a moment, annoyed.
She didn't know Jennifer's address.
The only solution was simple. She would take it home and wait for Jennifer to call. That was all. When Gabriella arrived at her house, the familiar silence welcomed her. The mansion was exactly as she left it, beautiful, expensive, and empty. A maid approached as she removed her coat. "Miss Gabriella, you have a visitor." She already knew. "Who?" "Mr. Lee." Gabriella's expression changed. Only slightly. But the maid noticed. She had worked for Gabriella long enough to know which names affected her. When Gabriella entered the living room, she found him standing near the fireplace with flowers in his hand. He looked older than she remembered. Not old. Just different. "Why are you here?" Mr. Lee looked down at the flowers. "I thought you might appreciate these." "I don't." The honesty seemed to hurt him. He placed them on the table anyway. "We were different people back then." Gabriella remained standing. "When I proposed, maybe it was too soon. Maybe we weren't ready." Her jaw tightened slightly.
Lee.
"But now we are." He looked at her.
"I'm divorced."
"I know what I want now." Gabriella looked away. That was the problem. He knew what he wanted. She still wasn't sure she wanted the same thing.
I'm sorry.
The silence afterward was heavier than either of them expected. Mr. Lee nodded slowly. He had come hoping time had changed her answer. It hadn't. He left without another word. The next evening, Jennifer sat at her desk with her laptop open and a half-finished assignment staring back at her. She had been looking at the same paragraph for almost 10 minutes. The words refused to make sense. Not because the assignment was difficult. Because every time she tried to focus, her mind returned to the hospital room. The woman in the black coat. Gabriella. Jennifer leaned back in her chair and looked at the small card sitting beside her notebook. She had placed it there without realizing. She picked it up and turned it over. It was just a card.
A name.
A phone number. There was no reason to be curious. Except she was. A few minutes later, she noticed something missing.
Her bag.
Jennifer looked around the room, then under the desk. Nothing. Her stomach sank. She had taken it to the hospital. A memory came back. The woman carrying her. The car. The hospital. My bag. She immediately reached for her phone. She stared at Gabriella's number for several seconds before pressing call. The phone rang twice. Hello. Gabriella's voice was exactly as Jennifer remembered.
Calm.
Controlled.
E.
It's Jennifer. A short pause. I know. Jennifer smiled slightly. You remember? I have a good memory. She could almost hear the lack of emotion behind the words. I think my bag is still with you. It is. The answer came so quickly that Jennifer wondered if Gabriella had already expected the call. Can I come get it? I'm working in the morning. Come early.
Oh.
Okay. I can. The call ended. Jennifer stared at the phone. She lowered it slowly. She really just hung up. Despite herself, she laughed. The next morning, Jennifer convinced Linda to come with her. Not because she was afraid. At least, that was what she told herself. Linda looked out the car window as they entered Gabriella's neighborhood. The streets were quiet, lined with large houses hidden behind tall gates and perfectly maintained gardens. This is where she lives? Jennifer glanced outside. I guess. Linda looked at her. You guess? Jennifer shrugged. I didn't exactly ask for a house tour. Linda shook her head. You nearly got hit by a car, got rescued by a mysterious rich woman, and somehow ended up visiting her mansion. Do you realize how strange your life sounds? Jennifer laughed.
I'm aware.
When they arrived, Linda looked at the enormous house in front of them. For a moment, she checked the address on her phone. Are you sure? Yes. I thought maybe you accidentally brought me to a celebrity's house. Jennifer smiled. Before she could answer, the gate opened. Gabriella was sitting in the living room with Vivian when the maid announced their arrival. Vivian immediately became interested. So, this is the girl from the accident? Gabriella looked up from the documents in her hand. She came for her bag. Of course. There was amusement in Vivian's voice. Gabriella ignored it. When Jennifer and Linda entered, Gabriella noticed something immediately. Jennifer looked completely out of place in the room. Not uncomfortable. Just different. The mansion was filled with expensive furniture, polished floors, and quiet elegance. Jennifer walked in carrying a simple backpack, looking around with open curiosity instead of trying to pretend she belonged there. Your bag will be brought here. Gabriella turned to the maid. A few moments later, the bag arrived. Thank you, Jennifer said. Gabriella expected her to leave, but Jennifer remained standing. Vivian smiled. You can sit, you know. Jennifer looked at Gabriella first. The permission mattered more than she wanted it to. Gabriella noticed. You don't need to. Jennifer laughed softly. She's always this welcoming? Vivian smiled. Actually, this is her being welcoming. Gabriella gave her a warning look. Jennifer looked between them. You two are friends? Yes, Vivian answered. After a few minutes, Gabriella stood. I'll show you out. Are you not curious? Jennifer asked, and Gabriella stopped walking for a second.
About what?
About who I am? A small silence followed. We won't meet again. There's no need. Jennifer adjusted her bag on her shoulder. Trust me, Gabriella. We'll meet again soon. Gabriella watched her leave. After the door closed, Vivian looked at her. You know, if you keep acting like that, you'll drive everyone away. Gabriella returned to her documents. I'm not interested in making friends. Vivian just shook her head. Gabriella first noticed the pattern because she started expecting it not to happen. For several days after Jennifer collected her bag, the house returned to its usual silence. No unexpected laughter in the living room. No questions about the paintings on the walls. No cheerful voice asking things Gabriella had no interest in answering. She told herself that was better. It was what she wanted. Then, on Friday evening, the doorbell rang. Gabriella looked up from the documents on her desk. The sound felt strangely familiar. When she reached the entrance, she already had a suspicion. She opened the door. Jennifer stood outside, holding a small bag filled with sweets. Gabriella stared at her. Why are you here?
Jennifer looked at the bag.
I brought you something. That doesn't explain why you came. Jennifer smiled. You always make people work for answers, don't you? Gabriella ignored the comment. You came here just to give me sweets? Yes.
No.
Jennifer laughed softly. You don't even believe me. I don't. Jennifer looked amused. You're very direct. I don't see the point in pretending. Jennifer looked at the house behind Gabriella. You know, most people would at least invite their guests inside before interrogating them. You're not a guest. The words came out quickly. Jennifer raised an eyebrow. Then what am I? Gabriella didn't answer. Before she could respond, thunder sounded in the distance. A few seconds later, rain began falling heavily. Jennifer looked toward the driveway. I guess the weather decided for me. Gabriella followed her gaze. The rain was already pouring too hard for her to let Jennifer leave. She stepped aside.
Come in.
Jennifer smiled. I knew you were secretly kind. I didn't say that. No, but you opened the door. Gabriella regretted it immediately. They sat in the living room while rain covered the windows in streams of water. A maid brought tea before leaving them alone. Jennifer wrapped both hands around the warm cup. The house was beautiful, but the silence inside it felt heavier than the furniture. You really live here alone? Gabriella looked at her. Yes. Doesn't it bother you?
What?
Being alone. Gabriella looked toward the window.
No.
The answer was quiet this time. Not defensive. Jennifer studied her face. She wanted to ask more. Instead, she took a sip of tea. After a moment, Gabriella spoke. Why are you really here? Jennifer looked up. I told you. That isn't the reason. Jennifer smiled slightly. You're difficult. So I've been told. The corner of Jennifer's mouth lifted. I wanted to thank you properly. I wanted to see you again. Gabriella said nothing. When no response came, she continued. You don't have to worry. I'm not trying to bother you. I didn't say you were. You were thinking it. Gabriella looked at her. You assume a lot. Maybe. Jennifer shrugged. But I'm usually right. For some reason, that almost made Gabriella smile. The rain continued. After a while, Jennifer asked the question that had been sitting in her mind since the hospital. Are you married? Gabriella looked surprised.
No.
Jennifer nodded slowly. I was just curious. Why? Jennifer hesitated. Because someone like you seems like the type of person who would already have someone. The silence that followed was different. Not uncomfortable. Gabriella looked away. I'm not. She said nothing else. Jennifer understood. That conversation was closed. And strangely, she didn't feel the need to force it open. After that evening, Jennifer started appearing more often. Sometimes with a reason. Sometimes without one. Gabriella complained every time. She told Jennifer she was busy. That she had work. That she had no idea why Jennifer kept coming. But she stopped telling the maid to turn her away. And that was the first thing Jennifer noticed.